outstanding, so I stand out. I'm a reject, I don't fit in with you clowns. I'm too fly, allergic to the ground, and promethazine prevents me from pulling down.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Social Rejects Podcast. We're your co-hosts, Rob and KB.
Gangbang.
And if this is your first time tuning in, we're two dope black dudes that created the podcast you didn't know you needed. On the agenda for today, we're going to be discussing introverts, one of my favorite topics, why I would prefer you leave me alone. And we're also going to be talking about moments where it's better to say nothing, but people insist upon making it awkward. We are also going to be talking about social distancing and wearing masks. Now, due to shelter in place, we are not recording from our home-based studio, so please excuse any background noise of the 6 train as it is transferring people from place to place. All right, let's get started. This is probably going to be one of my favorite topics on season 1.
That's fine. Just make sure we don't go over time.
Bruh. I'm not going. I got the timer going and everything.
All right, just saying.
I'm going to set the timer now. All right, timer set. First and foremost, let's talk about introverts. Kendall, what do you know about introverts?
It's me. From my perspective, introverts are pretty much me. Like, you really don't need or want to be bothered by other people unnecessarily. Like, the requirement of social interaction is very minimal. If for some, probably even non-existent to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's a preferred way. It just helps when I don't have to worry about other people in any regard to anything. It's a lot more difficult. It's a lot easier now because everybody got to stay away from everybody. But when things are in a more normal state, it can be difficult when you're in the mood where you really don't want to be bothered, but you're forced to be surrounded by people you really don't want around.
I'm glad that you brought that up because a lot of people don't realize that for introverts, it's actually really exhausting to have to socialize. It takes a lot of energy. If I'm going to be in a situation where I'm around a lot of people, especially people I don't know and don't regularly deal with, it takes me like a day or two to get into the mindset of the fact that
you gotta pre-game to meet them.
Exactly. I got to be like, okay, so this is actually happening. All right, so this is how I'm going to act in these situations. Otherwise, you catch me off guard and then people think that I'm standoffish, but I just don't have the energy to people with you right now.
I never have the energy to people with anybody. I'm always standoffish. But it's crazy though, because in that same light, if I know you, then we could chop it up for ever, really.
Yeah.
But it's the interaction with strangers, even acquaintances, people that you work with or that work in the same facility as you, even though you may not work with them directly. There's nothing for me to say to you.
So it is a misconception that introverts are bad at socializing. It's not that we're bad at socializing. We are just particular in who we have the energy to socialize with. Right. So in all reality, I feel like introverts probably have better conversations because they don't have as many conversations. They don't have conversations as frequently as people who are extroverts. There's also omniverts who is like half and half. Like you can be introverted selectively and extroverted selectively.
I wonder if I'm more like that then. Like because for certain people that like I like talking to, like they're good people to have conversations with, I don't mind being the one to start the conversation or in the middle of something else spark up a conversation.
Possibly. But I think you would have to have features of being an extrovert.
Where you just spark conversation.
Right. I think introverts, of the introverts that I socialize with, we all kind of are cool socializing with each other to an extent. But that extent is further than how we would want to socialize with somebody we're not familiar with.
Right.
So, but second topic, this leads us into the next topic. Reasons why I would prefer you stay away from me.
Facts.
Reasons why I would prefer you stay away from me.
Why are you there? What is your purpose? What are you trying to benefit from? Like, what's your end game here? What's your end goal?
I've yet to find someone who truly understands that. Like,
for a lot of people, it's hard. Like, they can't comprehend that people just don't want to be bothered because they themselves don't look at it like that.
Yeah, they look at it as being nice or polite.
Right, like, it's a common courtesy.
I say to people all the time, like, if I don't say hello or good morning. It's not because I'm trying to be rude. It's like I'm being polite to myself, and I'm like,
Right.
I'm just being polite to me. Because when I come into a room, right? Let's say I come into work, and this is stuff that you have to adapt to, because we live in an extroverted world. At least in New York, I have come to understand that other places in the country is not necessarily the same.
Yeah, Texas
However,
is definitely
Texas is dope because it's like speak as needed.
right.
It's no bad vibes. It's nothing awkward. It's just no extra excessive conversation.
Right.
But one thing that used to get me so exhausted was that I would walk into my place of business and I started work at like 9 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
9 a.m. I'm just getting to work. Introverts are that morning period. We don't want to talk to nobody.
Even with coffee, I still don't want to
With
talk to nobody.
coffee. I was so introverted that I didn't even want to get the coffee until the afternoon because I didn't want to see anybody. I didn't want to have that little interaction. But to walk into your place of work and you get like 15, good morning, hey, how's it going? I don't know how it's going. It just started.
Bro, I just chuck the deuces as I walk past everybody.
No, I feel like I've had to like force myself to be a little bit more social in the mornings and stuff like that because I don't have an introverted job.
I mean, I get it because similar to like my job in and of its essence is introverted, but to the capacity in which I work, that job isn't. So I provide a service to people, but the service itself doesn't require me to interact with them. But to figure out what's going on or what the actual problem is that I need to fix, I then have to interact with them.
The people that you work closely with, do you feel like you work with introverted or extroverted people?
I feel like I work with extroverted people.
Really?
Right.
Yikes.
So I work tech, but the people that work tech with me aren't tech people.
Really?
Like tech people have a stigma of being introverts, go figure. But they work there, like previously stated in the last podcast, I work at a school. So people that tend to work at school have a reason for being there, whether they like working with students or they like education, something within that realm.
Right.
Which in and of itself is very extroverted. You're enthused about the interaction, about the education, about the team building, whatever it is.
Right.
But tech is a part of that. However, I'm an actual tech person. I'm not an educator who happens to know technology. I'm a technology person in education. So the people that I work with are the opposite. They're educators that happen to know technology.
I feel like I got to get out of New York for that reason. It's so difficult to be an introvert in New York. If you want to advance, you do have to.
Low key, it isn't though, because you literally. Okay, in terms of work, probably, but in terms of just everyday living, just interactions every day, it's so introverted here. Like, 17 years of my life, I said nothing to people on the train. It was fine. No conversation with a random stranger on the train ever in my life.
You know, I guess I take that for granted because I didn't even realize that.
I never had a conversation with a random stranger, period, in New York.
But that's a New York. I don't know that you can contribute that to introvertism because that's just like the New York City way.
Right, which in and of itself is introvert.
Or paranoid, depending on who you're talking to.
Now, that's a different level of crazy. We're not talking about that. We're talking about just because, for example, I've had conversations with strangers in Texas that I did not start. I never started, obviously. But I've been in the grocery store looking at chips. And some lady walks down and then says something about chips. And it's like, oh, you like those chips? My daughter loves those chips. Blah, 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 blah. Unnecessary. Literally unnecessary. I don't know you from a...
Yeah, why are you telling me this? And about your daughter?
I don't care about none of that. But that's how people down there are. You make eye contact, they feel like they have to interact. Even if you don't make eye contact... But even if you don't make eye contact... They look at you skeptical, like, why aren't you making eye contact?
Because I don't like you.
Right. But they don't understand that.
That's sad.
Because typically in the South, when people are making eye contact, it's because they're up to something.
That's too much.
Which, low-key, makes sense.
Man,
they got all the shooters.
I just, I was in, I remember I was going to pick up from a pharmacy one day and I was completely minding my entire business.
Whole business.
And I go to the station, I give the lady my information and she starts talking to me about a rerun of Seinfeld that she was watching. And she's so excited about it. She's like, "Do you watch Seinfeld?" I'm like, "Do I look like I watch Seinfeld?" Like, ma'am, just give me my medication so I can bounce. She was going in over and over, and she just kept telling me about the episode, about what he was wearing, and she was dying laughing with herself. And my face is just straight like a cartoon. Like, why exactly are you doing this right now?
And we're sure she didn't have some kind of mental disorder.
I don't think she did.
Because no one's that ecstatic about Seinfeld. Now, there's plenty of people,
There's people that are really ecstatic about Seinfeld.
Nah, bro. Not for no random conversation with some random black guy.
That's
either that or you look like somebody on the show, probably.
I think the context might have been that I was wearing a jacket similar to what one of the characters was wearing, but I was so offended, like that she was talking to me about this that I didn't ask for this conversation. I just, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I feel like things like that, those things kind of really bug me. And it's like, it's better for you to just say nothing. That's one example. But another example is like, even if it's not in terms of customer service is an easy area to blow up because on the one hand, people do have to be a little bit nice depending on where you work. But elevator talk.
Oh,
I feel like who sent you? Like, I'm very comfortable being in a small space
and being quiet.
I'm okay with that.
But there are so many people that when it's quiet, they
feel like they gotta say something, and it's like, why are we talking about this right now?
Either that or they start humming and doing weird stuff. It's like, what the? There's no music. What are you humming?
Playing patty cake with themselves.
Right, just tapping on their
just turn around, start playing numbers on the wall and stuff for no reason.
Like, I mean, I get it because I guess the reverse of that is they look at people who can go without saying anything for extended periods of time as, how are you human when humans by nature are social creatures?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like introverts are social. I just don't want to socialize with you.
Right, but they don't perceive it like that.
They think that we're just not social.
They think we're not social with anybody, including them. They don't realize that there's something wrong with them, at least to our perspective. That's really what it brings down to.
So introverts think something's wrong with extroverts, and extroverts think something's wrong with introverts.
Extroverts don't read people the way introverts read people.
And that's
what dictates who's going to be labeled as an extrovert versus an introvert.
Yeah.
Those who need to converse in order to get a good gauge as to how someone is would be probably labeled an extrovert, and those who just get that feeling, like you look at them and go, nah, would be the introvert. Because if you look at someone and you get a feeling that it's worth talking, you then become an extrovert because you will then engage. Mm-hmm. If it's a conversation worth having, you continue with the conversation. Mm-hmm. But if you look at them and go, you just leave it alone. Versus an introvert would probably have that same feeling. Look at them and go, let me see just in case. An introvert ain't about to do that. If I don't like the way you look, not finna happen.
Yeah.
If you look shady, I don't need to have a conversation about if you actually are shady.
I feel like that's also more so towards in the direction of intuitiveness too. Right. Introverts, what makes an introvert is that we internalize information, so we can process information within our own minds and within ourselves to help us understand and decide how to connect. Whereas introverts need to process that assessment outside of extroverts. They have to process that assessment outside of themselves to determine how to connect. So that's why extroverts are going to kind of test things by making those little awkward conversations to see, okay, how is this situation supposed to be?
I get it, because I'm looking at it as if I'm an extrovert and I'm in an elevator full of people, everybody's being crowded. My mind can literally run wild to that dark place of, are these people trying to kill me?
Right.
Let me talk and see what's happening.
Yeah, exactly.
But that same logic could apply to being an introvert. These people are probably trying to kill me. If I don't say nothing, maybe they won't realize I'm
Absolutely. Here. So they experiment socially differently. An introvert is going to kind of do all of that work independently of the surroundings, whereas an extrovert is going to kind of test and kind of play around with the surroundings to get an understanding of where they are socially.
Right. I mean, that makes sense though.
I wonder how so with social distancing, introverts, this is just regular life for us. But I wonder how I wonder how extroverts are like dealing with the fact
They're
that
not. They're making TikToks. I'm not. Why are you laughing? I'm dead serious.
because you're telling the truth.
Like, I'm dead serious.
That's crazy.
Like, I'm low-key probably going to buy some TikTok stock here soon. I probably should have been did it.
Should have been bought TikTok stock.
Should have been bought
TikTok stock. I want TikTok stock.
Say that 10 times fast.
TikTok stock. Everybody wants some TikTok stock.
TikTok stock.
How do you feel about people walking around not wearing masks?
In large crowded environments, I feel like you're setting yourself up to get jumped.
Wait, what? That escalated.
What? In more spaced out environments, it seems a bit overkill. If I'm already more than 6 feet away from you, or 6 feet away from anybody, if I'm 20 feet away from everybody, what is the mask doing?
Right.
You need to be in a close proximity for that to be even remotely effective in terms of me coughing and protecting you, because that's all the cloth mask does. It doesn't protect the wearer, it protects the person the wearer interacts with.
I feel like the mask precautions are really, like you said, more so in terms of they're precautions that's put in place for people that are not normally responsible to an extent where they're not going to just blatantly cough on. Yeah, right. Exactly. Someone that's just not gonna cover their mouth. But in all actuality, it really does not. It's not protecting the wearer, like you said. And when you look at it objectively, it actually, my personal opinion, I'm not a doctor. I got like 2 years of pre-med and 1 year nursing school. However, the contamination of the virus, most of it is by touching things. So adding an additional tool
to then be touched
to your face
multiple times.
I feel like it would be more effective if there were more strict hand washing protocols in terms
how
of
much stricter can hand washing get though?
It can get crazy.
Like when you really think about it, like
hand washing. Think about how if you think about hand washing protocol in a hospital.
I have no idea what hand washing protocol is.
It's strict.
I don't go to hospitals.
There's hand washing stations at every entrance. There is sanitizing stations at every entrance, and during the shift, you're washing your hands like mad times. Not like within an hour, you can wash your hands like 5-6 times. Right. You're just ODing. So what I'm saying is like it would be more effective to have.
Germaphobe's dream.
It would be more effective to have something that is closer to a germophobic protocol than a cough protocol, if the goal was to eliminate the spread for everyone.
But I mean, this is my question too. Why was the same precaution not taken for the flu or for SARS or for anything else that is
honestly spread? I really don't know.
Because it seems like the same amount.
I don't know.
Overall. I mean, more people in the country have died of coronavirus than of the flu for sure. Yeah. But a lot of it has to do with, like we were talking about previously, vaccine for the flu.
Mm-hmm. Especially when the coronavirus just describes the anatomy of the virus. SARS and MRSA are both coronaviruses.
Right. That's SARS for sure, because the actual coronavirus, like the actual thing is like SARS something. Yeah. It's the whole thing.
So I don't know. And honestly, I guess we would have to look into what precautions were when those pandemics were outbreaks.
None probably.
But
stay in the house.
I have no feelings about it. But
the face mask. Don't go outside.
Don't go outside. Don't touch nothing. All right. Well, look, I was keeping time this time. Now we are officially out of time.
We are officially out of time.
So give us a quick rundown. What was the moral of the story today?
Moral of the story, mind your business. If you are a person who likes to interact with other people, interact with people that are already engaging you. Do not talk to people that are clearly not interested in talking to you. You're liable to get punched in the face. I make no promises. If you get punched in the face, it's not my fault. I warned you.
Okay.
Also,
I can get behind that.
Also, wear a mask just in obedience to the local law. Like, why add more problems for something? Because when you really think about it, how long are you out and about to where the people that really should be arguing this are like the workers, like the retail workers that are wearing a mask on their face 8 hours a day. Not the person that's out and about for 30 minutes out of their day, then they're back in the house for the rest of the day.
That's
because those are the people that are being affected negatively by wearing a mask prolonged. But just listen. Just do like none of us are doctors, and the doctors are saying put on the stupid mask.
The doctors got the mask.
So put on the stupid mask. It's really not that complicated.
That's a fact.
If you don't want to wear it, don't go outside.
Make sure you guys tune in next week for season 3. Either it's gonna be next week or
Episode 3.
That's what I said. I said
Definitely
episode.
just said season 3, and it's recorded, so it doesn't matter what I say at this point.
You know what?
Anyway, carry on, sir.
For episode 3, we're gonna be talking about thinking like millennials.
Gang gang, best generation ever, except for some
That's
stupid stuff that
debatable.
we do like avocado toast. But we'll talk about that next week.
There's nothing wrong with avocado.
First off, stop. No.
I'll catch you guys in the
week.
next episode. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you
Like,
hit
comment,
us up
subscribe, follow us on
social
IG,
medias and all that good
Facebook.
stuff.
I don't know about Twitter. We don't got TikTok.
We don't got Twitter. We don't got TikTok?
Nah, I'm not doing
Do we need a TikTok?
Absolutely not.
Comment down below. Let us know if we should get a TikTok.
Absolutely not.
We can't
Do
get
not
TikTok
comment.
stock without
Anyone
getting a
that
TikTok.
says we're getting a TikTok,
We're going to get a
fight
TikTok.
me.
We're getting a TikTok. Actually, we're going to get a
All
TikTok
hands.
just for you.
No, we're not.
Dead face TikTok.
Why are we still talking?
I don't know. All right. Catch y'all in the next episode. Later.
Peace.